Hari Om. Today we are on Mantra 6, Section 2 of Chapter 2. This mantra reads, Ara iva radha nabhau samhada yatra nadya sa eṣo'ntaścarate bahuda jayamana om ityevam dhyayatha atmana swasti va paraya tamasa parastad. This is the mantra. The literal meaning of the mantra, transliteration of the mantra is, just as in a chariot wheel, the various spokes of that wheel meet at the hub. Various spokes meet at the hub. So too, all the nadis of our personality center, they are seated in the heart. They are centered in the heart. They are within the heart of man, becoming manifold. He moves, meditate on that self as Om. Swasti, or well-being to you in crossing the farther shore beyond darkness. This is the meaning of the stanza. Now we come to the brief explanation. Now the hub of a wheel is a central point which is in contact with every other point on the circumference of the wheel, isn't it? The hub of a wheel is the central point which has contact with every other point on the circumference of the wheel, and that which bears all the not difficulties, all the, let us say, strain and tension in working of that wheel. Sometimes a creaking sound, sometimes a sort of a babbling sound. Whatever be the tensions and stress that the wheel is put to, it is a hub that bears all this. The mantra therefore says, or indicates, conveys, that the pure consciousness seated in the cave of the heart of a man is the very center of life from his tip to the toe. It percolates every square centimeter or millimeter of his body. There is not a small pinpoint in this body that he is not present. Now, the modern medical science is yet to discover and unravel the full mystery in the working of the nadis, known as nerve centers. They have still not fully discovered the glory of the nadis or the functioning of the nadis. These nerve centers or nadis, like the spokes of the wheel, are well connected to the hub of the wheel, meaning the heart of the man. All the nerve centers in the man, all the nadis in the man, is ultimately connected to the heart, where the pure consciousness is seated as a pure and simple witness to all the activities and inactivities of each and every nadi, which is the nerve center. Our ancient Yoga Shastra says that there are 82,000 subtle nerves in a man's system, and each one having a very specific assignment to perform. Breathing, exhaling, inhaling, everything, whatever activities you can, the subtlest of the subtle activities that is carried on, each nadi is in charge of that function. Unfortunately, these nadis or nerve centers are not available for exposition or experimentation. Sorry. It is an inner, intrinsic software, so to say, not capable of being objectified. Think. The psychic forces, complicated as they are, radiating from the center as the channels of awareness to every nook and corner of our personality, body, mind and intellect, controlling and directing it, and these cannot surely be placed on an operation table for the surgeon for his scrutiny and comments. You may take the physical vein and cut it and join it and do this and do that and take it out and put it in. That physical vein you can do. But the functions of the physical vein cannot be objectified. While we all know that we all have a mind and intellect, indisputably, there's no dispute about it, no one has till date been able to collect even an iota of sample of mind and intellect and put them in a test tube for experimentation. Can you deny that you have no mind, you have no intellect? No. Then can you take a part of the mind, a part of the intellect, a sample test and put it for physical properties and chemical properties for examination? You cannot. In the same way, the nadis, 82,000 nadis, which is there in a human being, human body, the software, as it were, cannot be objectified for its testing, just as the electricity in the plug cannot be taken out and shown. And if somebody insists, no, I will not believe that there is electricity unless you show it to me, what will you do? I don't want your Puranic stories. I don't want your assumptions and presumptions. You say that there is electricity in the plug, show it to me. The Guru explains, my dear boy, it is not possible. My dear engineer, it is not possible to take that electricity out of the plug. But when you switch on the plug, the nerve center is connected to the bulb or the fan or the refrigerator or whatever the equipment, and the electricity residing inside, which was so far unmanifest, now becomes manifest through that equipment of action. No, I can't believe. I want to see the electricity. Okay, please come near. Bring your index finger and middle finger to me, give it to me, and put it in the plug. What happens? The electrical engineer himself will withdraw his hand by getting a shock. And then you ask him, is there electricity or no? Yes, there is electricity. Now I understand. In the same way, the intrinsic pranas, that is the nadis that is available in you, the nerve center, cannot be objectified. It has to be only experienced because they lend their power from the pure consciousness. Think. So the Rishi advises, meditate on this hub of life in you, which is the only sure way of experience the mighty reality present in each one of us. In fact, the Guru had earlier explained the process of diluting the agitations of the mind. Please recollect those classes. A pure mind is one made relatively calm by means of meditation, concentrated meditation. Here the mind includes intellect also. It's called chitta together. By initially tempting the mind with the nature of external bliss, eternal bliss, not external bliss, eternal bliss, and to strongly advise it to detach itself from the fleeting joys of transcendent nature. Because you have to show him a picture of attraction, what he feels to be good. And all human beings desire happiness, and that too a continuous happiness, unbroken happiness. That is the picture you are painting and showing it to the mind. When the mind is presently in a state of filth, where he gets happiness, no doubt, but then it is only temporary. Today happiness, tomorrow unhappiness. Day after tomorrow happiness, the day after that unhappiness, happiness. So it is fleeting, it is not permanent. I want a permanent happiness. So tempt your mind with that eternal permanent happiness. Advise him to detach itself from the fleeting joys of transient nature. Slowly it gets convinced of the futile search that is now engaged in the world of objects, emotions and thoughts for his happiness. Think please. The mind seeks pleasure from the external world due to his avidya or ignorance about himself. That is what you are trying to show him now. He is absolutely unaware as to who he is. The king is a good actor, and while playing the role of a beggar in a drama, was suddenly gripped by avidya, and therefore he forgets his own real true status and then comes to suffer the agonizing life of a beggar who he is not. He identifies himself with the beggar so much that even after the drama he keeps on begging. Why? Avidya about himself. This avidya or ignorance has many synonyms like maya or vasana or vikshepa or avarana, etc., etc. How to get out of this ignorance? By constant auto-suggestion to this deluded mind as to his natural or original entity, constant hammering, day in and day out. Then in course of time, he will drop off all his misconceptions about himself. When his vicious vasanas gets dried up and the mind becomes fertile for germinating divine vasanas, he will no more have or have a very, very bare minimum of egocentric vasanas. As and when the divine vasanas develop, the existing and egocentric desires evaporate and the divine vasanas increase. This process, continuous process in course of time, will lead to a state of mental purification known as chitta shuddhi. All the weight and tons of imaginary load of egocentric vasanas get slowly exhausted because of a life dedicated at the feet of the Lord, and in the process no new such vasanas will be created. The mind therefore becomes quiet, light and clean. Quieter and lighter the mind, greater is its capacity to contemplate. Greater the gravity of contemplation, sooner you recognize the glory of the Supreme Self in you. That exactly is the time for you to take the bow and arrow in your flight to the immortal self. At that point in time, when your existing egocentric vasanas almost get exhausted and no new vasanas have been created by your actions, because your actions are all sacrificed at the lotus feet of the Lord, no more vasanas in you. Your chitta has become shuddhi, it is cleansed off. There is no weight to carry, not even baggage, not even cabin baggage. That is the right time for you to take the bow and arrow and take a flight to immortal. Now the role of a guru ends when the Shishya has been explained the goal and the path, and when the disciple has started moving in that right direction. That will be the greatest satisfaction for the Guru. That is indeed his Guru Dakshina. The rest is the responsibility of the seeker and the grace of the Almighty. And this mantra closes with a blessing of good wishes from the Guru to the obedient and deserving disciple. Let us see what we have in store tomorrow in the next mantra. Hari Om.